Hey guys, throughout my time both here on YouTube and out at my local airsoft field, I have completely lost count how many times I've been asked about the necessary steps when switching or upgrading to HPA. Although I don't think it's too difficult of a question to answer every single time, I do think it's time I make a video on it. First off, if you're on the fence or curious about the toss-up between HPA and AEGs, please feel free to check out my AEG versus HPA video. I talk about the pros and cons of each platform, not so much to tell you which one is superior, but more so to get you thinking about these two choices. Now, technically, this video is mostly going to appear to you as some glorified shopping list type of video. Let me be absolutely clear that whatever I recommend you to purchase is not some be-all, end-all must-have items. These are my recommendations. These are the items I would use, and I'll explain why as we go along. I don't gatekeep, and if something else works for you, I'm happy.
I haven't seen you my whole life, and now you come back and just expect a relationship? I hate you. What?
Can I have a hug?
No.
Give me a hug.
No way.
Come here.
I'm not coming over there.
Let's go.
Forget it.
Pronto.
What are you doing?
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Alrighty, looks like little Timmy wants to make the big jump over to HPA, huh? Tired of hearing that whiny sound of an AEG motor? Or are you just fascinated by the growing number of HPA guns out there? You've come to the right place.
But Prairie Dog, how much will it cost me to convert to HPA?
A lot. In fact, depending on your income, it might feel like hundreds of gold bars falling from the sky and smacking you right in the face. Well, okay, it's not that bad, all things considered, minus the gun itself, which you probably already have. Please, don't go HPA right out the gate. Alright, just don't do it. You're probably looking at about a ballpark price of 800 to 1,000 Canadian loonies, or around 630 to 800 US to make the jump to HPA. Not trying to flex here, but an ARP 556 in Canada land is $450. Combined with the cost of switching over to HPA, you're probably looking at owning a $1,500 setup. And that's without calculating in gun attachments and all that other silly stuff.
That's a lot of nuts!
Yeah, it is, but you can definitely save some nuts, and I'll explain as we go along. Well, okay, first off, you need an engine. I can't recommend which one you should buy though. What I can say is that you do have some manufacturers to choose from. POLARSTAR, Wolverine, Redline, Daytona, and of course quite a few others. Not gonna lie, if you want a straightforward list of gearbox-ready, drop-in engines to discover, check out POLARSTAR or Wolverine. These two are pretty much competing with one another and have a lot of engines to choose from. Some are meant for specific guns, like snipers, while others are meant for specific gearboxes, like the V2 gearbox inside most M4 platforms. Personally, I've switched to the POLARSTAR KYTHERA. It shoots semi-auto only, but it's a 100% mechanical system that doesn't require batteries, or a fire control unit, better known as an FCU. I like that. Less fiddle.
Prairie Dog, how do I supply air for my HPA gun?
With a tank, of course, you silly bitch. This is where you can save money. The cost of an HPA tank varies depending on a few things: how much air it holds and what it's made of. You've got a few things to consider here. Does your local field supply air for free? Then maybe get a really small, less expensive tank. Do you have, I don't know, severe scoliosis? Maybe grab carbon fiber. It's lighter. Or maybe just consider a different hobby. There is a general rule of thumb here when it comes to air tank capacity and how many shots you can shoot before running out of air. I'm about to like 4th grade math this out, so bear with me here. Use this as a rough guideline. This rule applies to paintball markers, which use a much higher PSI to fire than an airsoft gun. We'll roughly convert it for airsoft afterwards. For 3000 PSI tanks, multiply the cubic measurement by 12. For 4500 PSI tanks, multiply the cubic measurement by 17. For example, I personally use a 50 4500 carbon fiber tank. That's a 50 cubic inch, 4500 PSI air pressure tank. For an undetermined paintball marker firing around 400 to 800 PSI, I can roughly fire around 850 paintballs using my tank. Here's the kicker though, most airsoft HPA guns fire around 80 to 120 PSI. That's like around 400 to 500% more efficient than a paintball marker. 850 plus 400% is 4,250 shots at 80 PSI. Or something like that. Even if the math is off, it's a decent place to start. Expect over 2,000 shots at least. Most steel tanks are going to cost you about $100 or less. Carbon fiber tanks, which are designed to feel almost weightless, are going to cost you probably above $200. If you're looking to save and your local field supplies air for free, maybe consider a small steel tank. I will warn you though, once you switch to carbon fiber, you're probably not going to ever want to go back. Next up, the regulator. Because I'm pretty sure you don't want to be feeding your low pressure engine the full untapped pressure of a 4500 PSI tank. I mean, I don't know, do you enjoy having hands? Or like a face? Depending on which way the shards of your fancy airsoft gun fly when it immediately explodes. In case you didn't know, the regulator is what you'd use to adjust regulated PSI entering your gun. This is how you adjust your FPS. I'm gonna keep this simple, guys. I am not a professional when it comes to regulators. I just know that some are good while others might be poo-poo. What I'm gonna tell you in a completely unsponsored fashion is to go over to Amped Airsoft and check out their official super low pressure, better known as SLP regulator. If you don't know Amped Airsoft, these guys live and breathe HPA for airsoft and have an absolutely stupid amount of things you can buy for your HPA build. In fact, not gonna lie guys, I'm gonna be straight with you, literally buy what you need for HPA through these guys if you can. These guys make HPA so easy, we've literally got 14-year-olds running around at my field with HPA setups. No offense. I use this regulator, everyone I know uses it. Moving on, I guess. Alright, you friggin' goofball, you need a hose too here. What do you think, channeling air through your gun via sorcery is easier? Oh, wow. This website looks familiar. Look, guys, all this free advertisement seems like a wasted chance to ask for a YouTuber coupon code beforehand, but let's just keep going. Amped has stepped up yet again and designed a durable airline that runs from your tank to your gun. They're affordable, stylish, and have variable levels of durability for a price. The important thing here is the flexible, high-strength nylon of the hose. Trust me, when you're crawling around, twisting and turning, or manipulating your gun around, you need a durable, flexible hose holding all that air. The last thing you need is inconsistent air pressure to your gun or a puncture in your line. Quick note here, make sure you select to have both quick disconnect adapters included and pre-installed. These connect to your tank side and your gun side. I probably don't need to explain that further. Speaking of gun side, to my knowledge, your HPA engine should come with a little rubber hose. This hose connects directly to your engine inside your gearbox and most likely sticks out through the bottom of your grip. But can I just say that if you're going to get such a durable, flexible hose to run between your tank and your gun, why use such a frail, easy to overbend or puncture tube of cheap rubber to carry a consistent flow of air. As you would have guessed by now, AMP sells the integral grip line, or the IGL. Made out of the same strong material, these replace that crappy rubber hose and give you 100% worry-free pew-pewing. They've also got all the specific thread types to select from, specific to your engine of course. I'd probably check here to see if they have a compatible IGL thread fitting for the engine you want before buying that engine. I'm sure they do though. Okay, that's it guys. Minus the aftermarket grip line, which I highly recommend, that's technically all you need to switch to HPA. Now, I know some of you would like to watch a guide on how to physically install an HPA engine into a V2 or V3 gearbox, specifically if it has an FCU, but I sadly don't have such an engine to do a video like that with. What I do have are videos on installing a POLARSTAR KYTHERA into an M4 as well as an AUG. Most of you probably have an M4 or a V2 gearbox, so I'd probably suggest checking out that video to help make yourself more comfortable with doing an install. Remember, you're on YouTube. There are videos out there on how to install pretty much any common engine from POLARSTAR to Wolverine, for example. Do a little research and take it slow. It's expensive stuff. Alright, well, I've officially armed a horde of 14-year-olds with the knowledge on what they'd need to go HPA. Then again, they probably can't afford it, so I guess we're kind of safe. Jokes aside, I hope you found this video very helpful. Technically, this has always been an easy question for me to answer. It's mostly a things to buy type of video, but you'd be surprised how many people are unsure where to begin when it comes to HPA. So please, if you feel like there's any tips or questions you want to post in the comments regarding HPA, feel free. Before I end this video, I just want to say that owning an HPA airsoft gun does increase your level of responsibility for the safety of others out on the field. Compressed air can be extremely safe, but its capabilities are not something to be toyed with. Play within your field's FPS limits, and just because you can crank your PSI output to about, 700 FPS, doesn't mean you should. Play responsibly, be a good example. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.